Okay. So today we will see basic dashboard design. Okay. So see every time. So this is the dashboard designing, right? So along with this topic, right? So we'll try to see some more topics also. Okay. So basic topics actually. So we have created a dashboard right yesterday. So maybe that was closed actually. So okay, I'm just connected to the sample superstore data set here. Okay. So whenever you do some work in the Tableau, right? So we have to save that work actually. So we can save that work. So assume that we have created this workbook or dashboard in our local system. So what I can do is, if you want to save this work, right? I can simply go to File option and can simply click on the Save option. So when you click on the Save option, right? So here Tableau will show two options. So just click on this drop down. So when you click on this drop down, Tableau is showing two options, TWB and TWBX. So these are called file types. Okay, these are called file types in Tableau. So you can save your workbook in two file formats. So those formats are called .twb or Tableau workbook and .twbx. This is a Tableau packaged workbook. So you can see a packaged workbook. So when someone asks you in the interviews like what are the file types for saving the dashboards or workbooks, right? Uh, you can say file types for the workbooks are .twb and .twbx. Okay, so you can see those here. File types in Tableau. Okay, file types in Tableau. So file types for workbooks are .twb and .twbx. So we'll discuss about this bit later, not now. And what are the file types for data sources? Okay, so we are also connecting to the data source also, right? So if you see here, we have connected to 4 data sources. First one, second one, third one, fourth, fifth, 5 data sources. So if you want to save the data source also, right, in your local system or to a Tableau server, right, what we can do is you can simply, oh, okay, so for data sources we have mainly two types of data sources. So just go to the bottom left side here, we have a data source button here. Just click on the data source button. Now in this page where we are doing the data modeling, right, here I can see mainly two options, live connection and extract connection. So you can store your data in two types of connections, live connection and extract connection. So live connection, we don't have any file types for live connections, but we have a file type for extract connection. For example, if you want to extract this data, right, you can simply click on the extract button, extract option, and you can click on any one sheet here. Okay, first we have to click on the extract option, then we have to click on the any one sheet here. So this is the first method. The data will be automatically extracted. Now the second method is I just go to the live connection here. Now I'll click on the any one sheet here. Now I'll come to this data, page here. I can simply right click on the data source, and here also we can see the extract data option. So when you just click on the extract data option, so first thing is how to identify live connection and extract connection. So this is a live connection. So whenever you connect to a database or data source, right, that is by default live connection. So how to identify live connections is, live connections can be identified with the help of single cylinder symbol. You see, this data source is having a symbol of single cylinder. So all these data sources are of single cylinder symbol. That means these are live connections. So we'll discuss a bit later what is the difference between these two data sources a bit later. But for now, just remember how to identify. Okay, now how to identify extract connections. So whenever you see this double cylinder symbol, right, that means that is a extracted data. Okay. Now how to extract the data from live connections? Simple. So this is a live connection now. Simply right click on the data source. Simply click on the extract data option. Now a window will be opened like this. You can simply click on the extract option here. You see some extract option here. Simply right click on the extract. So while you're trying to extract the data, right? So now you can see it is trying to ask you where you want to save this data source in your local system. Okay, so you can give some file name here, and you see here file type is dot hyperfile. Okay, dot hyperfile. So what is the meaning of dot hyper means? If someone asks you what is the meaning of dot hyper means, it is a file type of a extract data source. So when we try to extract the data, and when you try to save your data in your local system, that will be stored in the file format of dot hyper. Okay, so here we don't have any other option. So we have dot hyper only. Now just click on the save option. You can give some name to the data source and simply click on the save option. So it will be asking you like that. If you have earlier the same file name, right, it will be asking you to replace the same thing. You can simply say yes. I think you know already meaning what is the meaning of replace option. Now you see, once the data is extracted, now you can see for this data source, I can see this double cylinder symbol. So whenever you see this double cylinder means that is a extracted data. That means the file type of that is dot hyper. Okay. For now, just remember these two. We'll discuss a bit later what is the difference between extract and live connection. Okay, a bit later. Whenever there is a requirement, right, I will tell you. Okay. So along with this okay. Now you see here file types for data source are dot hyper, and I can see dot td also here. Now what is the meaning of dot td and dot hyper? We just have seen dot hyper, and what is the meaning of td? td means Tableau data extract. E means extract. Now, okay, as in a simple way, right? So we have different versions, right? As I told you earlier in the before classes, we have different Tableau versions. Okay, so since 10.5 version, all the extracts are stored in the form of file type is dot hyper. Before 10.5 version, extracts will be stored in the form of dot .td file formats. That is the only difference. And they will ask you sometimes what is the advantage of this dot hyper files. You can simply say we don't know actually. In general, we don't know. But that is the decision taken by the Tableau software team only. But what is the one major thing they are saying is dot hyper files are more faster than dot .tde files. Okay. So telling you one more time, all the extracts will be stored in the form of dot hyperfile format since 10.5 version. Before that, 10.4 version, 10.3 version, in all those versions, the extracts will be stored in the form of .td files. If someone asks you what is the abbreviation for dot hyper, right? We don't have any abbreviation. But if they ask you what is the definition, what is the abbreviation for .td means Tableau data extract. So before seeing the dashboard design, I want to discuss one more topic here today, a simple one, basic charts. So I don't want to discuss all these charts actually. So we will see a bar chart, side by side bar chart, staggered bar chart, and pie charts. We will see these four charts today. So we have seen already in previous class also, but I will tell you one more time. Okay, I don't want to go a bit detail. Okay, let me finish it as soon as possible. Okay. Now I have connected to sample superstore data. For example, I have already connected to the 5 data sources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we want to connect to one more data source, right, from the same page, simply go to the data option. Okay, you can simply click on the data option, simply click on the new data source. Now this page will be opened here. From this page you can connect to any data source like Excel, Microsoft Excel. Text file means it is a CSV files, PDF files, and you can connect to the server type database, also Google Drive, Microsoft SQL Server. Like that you can see many options here. So once you connect, right, the data source also will appear here. Okay. Now first I want to create a text table. Okay. So this is the data source. In this data source, we have 3 tables: orders table, people table, and returns table. Now I'm simply searching for a sales here. So whenever you drag any measure into the text, right, it will be automatically create a text table. Now, if you want to drag one more measure, right? So first time only you have to drag the any measure into text here. See, if you try to drag the same measure one more time into the text here, right, it will not allow you. Tableau will not allow you to drag the same measure two times into the text here. Okay. So first time only we have to drag the any measure into the text here. Second time, if you want to drag one more measure, right, don't simply drag here. So from second measure onwards, what you can do is simply double click on that profit measure. Just simply double click. Now you see in the sheet, I can see profit. Profit is the first measure in the first row and sales is second measure, which is in the second row. So this is the order actually. Now I want to bring my profit into second row. Now what I can do is you can simply drag the profit into second row. Now you are seeing this black color line, right? Now you are seeing this black color line, right? So whenever you see this black color line, that measure will be dropped there. Okay. So simply drag this into second place. Now you see, whenever you drag this profit to the second row, here also the order will be changed. So this will be interchange. You can interchange the measures in the sheet itself, or you can do it in the this place also. Now you see sales is in the first place. So now you can see sales in the first place here. Profit is in the second place. Okay. Now one more thing we want to observe here is like you can simply come to these measure values and you can simply drag the measure values below the profit. So once you change here, right, that will be changed automatically in the sheet also. So whatever the order you see the measures here, right, the same order will be maintained here also. It will be vice versa. You can change the order in the sheet itself, or you can change the order here itself in the measure values itself. Okay. Now I want to rename the sales label to total sales. How I can do actually? So here we have a sales, right? Now I want to rename it to total sales. So what I can do simply is I can go to the search button. I can simply click on this measure drop down. I can simply do the rename to total sales. So this is one option. Okay, now whenever you change here, right, that automatically reflected here, total sales. Okay, I'm just going back. Now you see, I can see sales here, I can see sales here. The second option is I can directly come to this, right click on this sales here. I can simply do the edit alias option. Now you see, I can simply click on the total sales. Now you see that alias will be changed to total sales. But observe that the original name remains same here and the original name same remains here also. It will remain same here also. But only we are just aliasing the sales measure within this sheet. Within this sheet only we are doing the alias. Now if you go to one more sheet and if you try to drag the sales into text here and just try to drag the profit, just double click the profit. Now we see that alias will be maintained in this sheet also. Okay, in this sheet also that alias will be maintained actually. Okay. Okay, this is a text table. So here we are just using only measures only here. Now I want to convert this text table into, okay, just let me go to one more new sheet here. So this is one option. What I told you is first we have to drag the sales into text here. Then we have to double click on the other measure. Now, for example, I forgot to double click actually. Then what I will do, if you drag one more measure into the text here, right? Now what will happen is it will not show the measure names here. So what you can do is you can simply click on the text button here, simply go to these three dots. Now you see those two measures here. Now we have to rename here. If you want to rename, you can rename it. You just make a label here, sales and profit. So that is the main difference. I hope you understood. Okay, I'm just going to the previous page. Now I want to convert this into a bar chart. Now what I can do simply is, the simplest method is you can directly go to the show me option, which is on the top right side. You can simply click on the bar chart. Now you see a bar chart is generated. Now you see when the bar chart is generated, Tableau automatically will bring the measure values into column shelf and measure names into the row shelf. So this is because of, so measure names and measure values will play a very important role in Tableau while if you are designing a charts. Okay, so Tableau will automatically bring the measure names into column shelf and measure names into the row shelf. Now I'm just going a bit back here. Now I can see the text table again. So without using show me option, how I can do is the same thing. I'll simply bring the measure values into the column shelf. Now you see a bar chart is generated. Now just simply swap it. It will give you the vertical bar chart. When you swap, this is a swap button. So what will happen is when you swap right, when you click on the swap button, rows will be changed to column shelf and columns will be changed to row shelf. Okay. When I click on the swap button, these measure values will go to the column shelf. Measure names will come to the row shelf. That is the meaning of swap option. Okay. So in this way, I can simply create a bar chart with only measures. So these are only measures, right? Profit is one measure and sales is one measure. So this is also called side by side bar chart. So why? Because measure and profit and sales both are side by side. Okay. Now, if you want to bring any other dimension also, you can simply bring the any other dimension like region. You can bring the region into the row shelf. So when you bring the region into row shelf, right? Now you can see each region in the each row. And you can bring the region into column shelf also. Now you see, whenever you bring the region into column shelf, I can see each region in a separate column wise. So this is a side by side bar chart. So from this side by side bar chart, right? You see, first I will see central here. Within the central, I can see profit and sales side by side. Profit and sales are side by side. Now it will display second region here. Within this second region, I can see profit and sales side by side. Next, I will see south region. Within the south region, I can see profit and sales side by side. Why it is like that means, for example, in the column shelf, first I have region. After that, I have measure names. So because of that reason, so the region will come first and the measure names will come second. So within each region, I can see profit and sales are side by side, measures are side by side. Now, if you bring the region after the measure names, right? Now see what will happen. Measure names is in the first place, right? So I can see first measure here. Then after that, I can see each region side by side. Now I can see second region, second measure here, total sales. Now I can see, now I can see regions are side by side. So in this way, you can interchange the measures and region and measure names. Okay. If you bring the region into the first place, you will see the first region, and then measures are side by side like that. Okay. You can just practice it. You will get it. Now, okay. Now you see, I have profit here. I have total sales here. Okay. Now I want to bring one more measure here. That is called as you get quantity. Now, now we see what will happen in the measure names, in the measure values, right? I already have profit and sales. Now, when you bring the quantity third measure into this measure values in the third place, right? Now you can see profit, sales, and quantity are side by side. Okay. Okay. I'm removing the quantity from this measure values and I bring the quantity into the row shelf in the second place. Now you see what will happen. In the row shelf, what I have first measure values. So because of that reason, I can see the first row is measure values. In the measure values, what I have profit and sales. So profit and sales are side by side. And in the row shelf, in the second place, I have quantity. Because of that reason, I can see second row is quantity here. You see, second row is quantity. If I bring the quantity into the first place, right, in the row shelf, now you can see in the row shelf, I have quantity in the first place, right? So I can see quantities in the first row like that. Okay. Okay. I go to the next sheet here. So from this sheet only, I will try to tell you everything, but it may be confusing for you. So I'll go to one more sheet here. Let me see what I have. Okay. Now I have sales and profit side by side. We have seen, right? We have also seen for each region. We have seen profit and sales side by side. Now we go for stacked bar chart. Okay. So first bring the sales into the, when you bring sales into the text here, it will generate text table. If you bring it into the column shelf or row shelf, it will automatically generate a bar chart. Okay. Just I'm just using the entire view here, or make it standard only. Just increase the width of this one. So just try to move your mouse border of the bar chart. Okay. So whenever you see these two arrows, right? Yeah. Then you try to drag. So this is a sales here. Now see, when I have only one measure in the sheet, I don't see measure names or measure values anywhere in the sheet. I don't see any measure names or measure values in the sheet. But if you try to bring one more measure into the either row shelf or column shelf, okay, it's not coming. Okay, okay, just say. Okay, I will tell you one more method to generate side by side bar chart. Okay, so what is that method is? First bring the sales into the row shelf, then bring the profit into sales axis. So you know that it is a sales axis, right? Now just bring the profit into the sales axis. Now you see profit and sales are side by side. So if you want to create a side by side bar chart, right, with two or more measures, what you can simply do is, I'll tell you what you can simply do is, first bring the one measure into the row shelf and bring the profit other measure into the sales axis. Just drag into sales axis. Now you can see profit and sales are side by side. Now if you want to bring a quantity, right, you can simply bring the quantity into this axis again. So this axis is called combined axis. Okay, this axis is called combined axis. So what is the meaning of combined axis? Means uh, axis same for all the measures. Okay, so we have a, let me open. Just let me know if you are a bit confusing here. Just give me a second. Okay, so we have a concept called a concept called based on axis. Okay, so we have three types of axis here. What is that means? Individual axis, dual axis, and combined axis. So I will tell you dual axis bit later. We'll discuss about individual axis and combined axis. The name itself is indicating that individual axis means the axis is different for each measure. Combined axis means axis is same for each axis, same for all the measures. Simple. So this is the example for individual measure here. Okay. I'm just going to the Tableau here. So this is the example for combined axis. Why? Because this axis is same for all the measures, profit, quantity, and sales. Okay. Now I want to create a combined axis. I want to create an individual axis. So for example, if you drag any one more measure, profit ratio we have, right? If you drag one more measure into the row shelf after the measure values, right? Now you see for profit ratio, the axis is different. For these measure values, the axis is different. This is the meaning of individual axis. Individual axis means the axis will be different for each measure. For this example, axis is different for this profit ratio and axis is different for these measure values. So in these measure values, again, we have these three measures: profit, quantity, and sales. Now, what is the advantage of uh, okay, what is the, now I can't say advantage, but what is the, so okay, so in the individual axis, right, what I can do is I can go to this profit here. I can go to profit. I can just click on the drop down here, go to the mark type here. You can change it to the square. Now you see, when you change the mark type for this profit ratio to square, that will be changed to square here. But if you go to the measure values here, if you try to change the mark type to circle, right? Now you see, when you try to change the mark type for these measure values, you see in the measure values, we have these three measures, right? So for all these measures, I can see circle only. For all these measures, I can see circle only. That means individual axis means we can format each axis individually. I can format each axis individually. For example, I can go to profit axis here. I can go to mark type here. I can change this mark type to line also, like this. So individual axis means I can format the each axis individually. But what is the meaning of combined axis means? Measure values are in combined axis, right? If you try to change the mark type to a, for example, area, then you see for all the measures, this chart will be changed to area only, like that. Okay. Okay. Um, I'll just go to my previous page here. Okay. Now, the next chart we can see we want to see is like stacked bar chart. Yeah, stacked. We have already seen stacked bar. We don't see stacked. We did not see stacked bar, right? Okay. So very simple. So just drag the sales into the row shelf here. Drag the profit into the axis of the sales. So it will generate side by side bar chart, and automatically Tableau will generate measure names and measure values. Now, as I have measure names in the column shelf, I can see each measure in a separate column. Okay. As I have measure names in the column shelf, I can see each measure in a different column. Now what I will do is I'll bring these measure names into the color shelf. Now you see I generated a bar chart here, stacked bar chart here, like that. If you bring the same measure names into the detail shelf, now we can see we already seen the difference between the color shelf and detail shelf yesterday, right? So in this way, you can generate the stacked bar chart. Now you see a color legend is generated here, profit and sales. Now, if you bring any other dimension, simply region, right? You can bring the same region into either row shelf or column shelf. Now for each region, I can see for central, I can see stacked bar chart with sales and profit, like that. For each region, I can see sales and profit. So for example, if you want to bring this blue color, right, which is a profit into the bottom side, right, now I can simply drag the profit into just below the total sales here. Now you see, just go to the color legend here, simply drag the profit into above the sales or below the sales. In that way, I can uh, I can move the stacks above or below. Okay. Now you see, so this is a sheet 25. Now what I will do is I'll simply duplicate this sheet. Okay, I'll simply duplicate this sheet. Now I want to generate a pie chart here. So which is very simple. What I can do is I can go to marks card here. Simply click on this drop down, just simply generate a pie chart. Okay. Now I don't see exact pie chart here. I don't see exact pie chart here. The reason is I have measure values in the row shelf. What I'll do, I simply uh, remove the measure values from row shelf into maybe labels here. Now you see a pie chart is generated. Now if I bring the region also from the column shelf, now you see a pie chart is generated with only measures. So total sales and profit. Okay. Maybe it may be confused for you. Just give me a second. So if that is a creating some confusion for you, right? We can build that same pie chart from scratch itself. So while building any chart, right? While creating any chart, we can create any chart with only measures and with measures and dimensions also. Okay, so it is very easy for us to create a pie chart with one dimension and one measure. You see how simple it is. First, bring the region into the row shelf. Now bring the sales into anywhere, maybe column shelf, row shelf, anywhere. Now go to the show me option. Go to the show me option. Now you see a pie chart is enabled here. Okay, pie chart is enabled here. You can simply click on the pie chart. Tableau will generate pie chart automatically here. Okay, Tableau will generate pie chart automatically. But here I don't see any labels, right? So here I don't see any labels here. So if you want to enable the labels, right, you know how to do. Just simply go to the label here. Simply click on the show mark labels option. Now it will show the labels for each pie section, each section. Okay. So it is very simple to create a pie chart from show me option. But sometimes we have to create pie chart without going to the show me option also. But what we have to observe here is when you go to the show me option and when you generate the pie chart, right, see what the Tableau is doing. Tableau is bringing the region into the color shelf, that is dimension into the color shelf, and sales measure into the size option, sorry, angle option. Sales into the angle option and same measure sales into the size option also. So we will discuss what is the use of it. So what is the meaning of angle? Pi means it is a 360 degrees. Okay. Now this entire 360 degrees is divided into four sections. Each each section is for one region: central, east, south, and west. Okay. Now, when you bring the sales into the angle, right? When you bring the any measure into the angle, what will happen is based on the sales value, angle will be changed. For example, if you see here, so this is a 7,39,000, which is the highest value. So as it is having highest value, it will occupy more angle. For example, out of 360, assume that it is occupying like maybe like 200 degrees angle. Now the what is the next highest sales is 6 lakhs. So next highest sales is 6 lakhs, right? Because of that reason, it will occupy less angle comparing to the this 7 lakh sales. That is compared to the west. So assume that it is occupying 180 degrees. Next highest sales is 5 lakhs. So it will occupy less sales than these other two regions. Like maybe assume that this is 100 degrees, like that. So based on the sales value, this angle will be changes. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of this size option? Tableau automatically bringing the sales into size option also. Okay. How to explain the size option here better means I will bring one more dimension, like maybe category into the maybe column shelf. Now you see what maybe not category. Bring the subcategory into the column shelf, not subcategory. Just bring the other dimension like order date maybe. Yeah, with this we can clearly see that what is the meaning of this size option means whenever you bring any measure into the size option, what will happen is for 2023 the sales are high comparing to the all the 3 years. Because of that reason, this pie chart is bigger in size than other three regions, other 3 years. Next highest sales will be in the 2022 year. Because of that reason, you can see this sales is occupying bit lesser in size than the 2023, like that. So based on the sales value, the pie chart size will be varying. For example, if you remove the sales from the size, you see what will happen. Now you see all the pie charts are occupied are of same size. Okay. Now, if you remove the sales from the angle also, now you see what will happen. All the regions are occupying equal angle. Equal angle means we have four regions. 4 divided by 360, all are occupying 90 degrees. Okay, like that. So this is about pie chart. Mainly, why do we use pie chart means, okay, I'm removing here also. So just display the sales for each region. Just bring the sales into the label here. So mainly why do we use pie chart means uh, mainly it is used for generating a percentage. For example, I want to find out. So out of total sales, 7 lakh is the sales which is because of West region. Okay, sales is this 7 lakh to 39,000 is because of West region. So I want to find out this sales is how much percentage comparing to the total sales. Okay, this percentage is this sales is how much percentage comparing to the total sales. So if you want to display that type of percentages, right, then we go for a pie chart. So how to display the percentage here means simply click on this drop down measure here, go to the quick table calculation, simply click on the percent of total. Now you see, assume that total sales is 100 percentage. Out of that 100 percentage, 31 percentage is contributed by West region, 21 percentage contributed by Central region, like that. Okay, so one of the most chart to display the percentages is like pie chart, and we will use one more chart also for displaying these percentages, which is called stacked bar chart. Okay, so how to convert the same thing into stacked bar chart, right? Simple. Simply bring the measure into the either row shelf or column shelf. Okay. Now it is not generating pie chart here. Why? Because you can see in the mark type, I can see the type of the chart is pie chart here. So what I can simply do, the next step is simply click on this drop down, just simply change it to bar here. Now you can see we generated a stacked bar chart. So when you simply click on the T option here, right, it will display the percentages. Now, if you want to see these same percentages by year wise, right, now you can simply bring the any order data category into the column shelf. Now it will generate a pie chart, sorry, stacked bar chart for each year. Okay, here we have to observe one more thing here is like, for example, if I go for 2020 year, when you do the summation of all these regions, right, it is not summing up to 100 percentage. Okay, so I want to tell you a simple example here. Okay, in a day one I spent 60 rupees. In day two I spent, assume that 40 rupees. Okay, so the total is 100 rupees. Assume that this total is 100 percentage also. Okay, and now on day one how much I spent? 60 percentage. On day two how much I spent? 40 percentage, like that. So how we are getting this 60%? Say simple means 60 divided by total 100. Total is 100, right? So 60 plus 40 is nothing but 100, right? So how to get these percentages mean 60 divided by 100 total value. Similarly on day two 40 divided by 100, that will give you the 40 percentage. Okay. So now if I go to Tableau, if you do the summation of all these percentages, right, then it is summing up to 100 percentage. Okay, but I don't want to do this actually. Now what is my requirement is, within each year I want to see 100 percentage. Within each year I want to see 100 percentage. Like for example, if I assume that in 2020 the total sales is 500. Okay, in 2020 the total sales is 500. So in this 500, assume that this is a 100 percentage. Assume that this is a 100 percentage. In this 100 percentage, what is the contribution of each region? I want to see that type of percentage. Now in that case, what I can do simply is just go to the row shelf here. Simply click on this drop down. Here we have one more option which is called compute using. In the compute using, simply click on the cell option. Cell means what will happen is Tableau will compute these percentages for each cell. What is the meaning of each cell here means whatever we have in the column shelf, that is a each cell. Each year is nothing but each cell here because we have that in the column shell. Okay, computation just simply comes cell. Now you see all are 100 percentage. 21 plus 27 plus 21 plus 30 means it is giving you 100 percentage. So now for each year we can see 100 percentage here. Because of that reason I can see all the bars are in the same height because all are 100 percentage only. Now I can simply say in 2022, out of 100 percentage sales, 30 percentage is contributed by West region, like that. Okay, so just try to practice it. We'll discuss more about compute using option and quick table calculations a bit later. Why? Because we have a separate topic for this actually, but as we are discussing about the charts, right? I'm just discussing about this chart, these and all those. Okay, now so this is a stacked bar chart. Mainly to represent percentages, we will use mainly two types of charts, uh, pie chart and stacked bar charts. In some cases, we can go for side by side bar charts also, but this is a rare case. Another requirement, mostly if you want to see the contribution of region towards total sales like that type of scenarios, we go for stacked bar charts. Okay. So we have discussed about pie chart, right? Pie chart and stack bar chart, right? I remember that I told you we can generate while generating we can generate any chart purely based on the measures only or purely based on the one dimension and one measure at least. Just before only we have seen how to generate a pie chart here. The method I told you is simply drag the region into the row shell and drag cells into the text here. Go to the show me option. Tableau automatically generating a Tableau automatically enables a pie chart here. In that way, you can simply generate a pie chart with one measure and at least one dimension. But how to generate pie chart with only measures only? Okay, bring the sales into text here. Bring one more measure like profit into the just double click here. Now, if I go for show me option, Tableau not enable this pie chart. Why? Because if you go for pie chart, if you hover on this pie chart, right now you see what will happen. To generate pie chart, we should have at least one dimension and at least one measure. Then only Tableau will enable this pie chart. But my requirement is I want to generate pie chart with only these two measures only. These two measures only I want to generate pie chart. Now, how to generate means simple. Go to the marks card. From this drop down, select the pie chart here. Now, I can see profit in the first row, sales in the second row. This is because as we have measure names in the row shelf, I can see each measure in the individual rows. Now, what I'll simply do is just bring the measure names into the color shelf. Now, you see, I generated a pie chart purely based on the measures. Okay, so we have seen these type of charts today. Now, as I told you, the next topic we will discuss is about like so if you want to practice, right? For example, if you want to practice these charts, right, you can simply come to this website and go to the basic charts here. When you click on the basics here, you can just go through all these and you go for this bar chart and all this. Try to replicate the same things, whatever we have in the screenshots, right? Try to replicate the same thing in the Tableau also. It is very simple. I just tell you for this one thing here. If I tell you for simple this one. You see, I have category in the column shelf. You have to bring the category to the column shelf. Why? Because I can see furniture and each category in the separate column. Furniture in the first column, office supplies in the second column, technology is in the third column. Because of that reason, we have to bring the category into the column shelf. Okay, just remember this one and just try to practice it. If you don't get right, we'll discuss it tomorrow. Now we'll go for basic dashboard design option. Why? Because
Hey, Venkat. Hi,
yeah,
can can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, hi, Venkat. I just have one question. So, you just showed how you can make a pie chart just using measure.
Yeah, with
So
only measures. Yeah.
right, how do you add the angle so that I can understand that like out of this much sales, this much was my profit?
Yeah, sorry. I just forgot to tell you that for measures, right? If I try to follow the same option, like I can go to sales here. If I try to go to the quick table calculation, when you click on the percent of total, right? You see it is not giving correct answer here. But that is why, because here I'm just going to the each individual measure and I'm simply clicking on the percentage option.
Right.
So this percentage is not applicable for only measures. When you create a pie chart with only measures, right, that percent of total will not be applicable here. If I go to the previous chart, right, so here you see I'm using one dimension here and I am using only one measure here. Because of this measure, only one measure, when I try to click on this and when I click on the percent of total, the same measure will be divided across each dimension value. But if you come to this pie chart, here we have no dimension here. So just remember that any measure will be calculated with respect to percentage, or it will give you the result based on the dimension only. It will give you the result. There is no relation between one measure and other measure.
Got it.
We cannot create the relation between one measure and other measure. Okay, I'll simply tell you one example.
Got it. Like it looks for like a context. So, like if I were to
Yeah.
add like a region or a country, then it understands, okay, in this scenario, like this compared to this, like that.
Correct. So for
Got it.
example, assume that in day one I have spent 60 rupees. Assume that for the same day one, I do different things, right? For example, I will I will buy a quantity, just assume that quantity. I buy maybe 10 books. I will buy 10 books. So I can't create percentage with these two measures. Okay, hope you understood. I can't create.
Right.
There is no
Right.
relation. There is no relation actually. So this there is no relation between this quantity and this sales. I can say like that. So because of that reason, you don't this percent of total will not applicable for these measures. Now, but in real time, you want to generate that type of percentages. Then what you do is I'll simply go to calculation field. What I'll do simply, I'll simply bring profit divided by sales. So what I can do is simply click on the OK. Now bring this calculation one into this measure names. Now, so in general, to represent percentage rate, we have to multiply it with 100. So I can go to format option, just simply change it to percentage. In that way, you can create only measures, and within that calculation only, we have to calculate the percentage using the formulas. Okay, like that. In general, in real time, what type of scenarios we have to represent these percentages with only measures means assume that assume that for 2021 year the total sales is 100 rupees. For 2022 year, mm, in more accurate way, if you want to tell, right, okay, I'm working for Johnson and Johnson company. Okay, I'm working for Johnson and Johnson company. So this Johnson and Johnson company has this that for this Johnson and Johnson company, total revenue is in the 2021 year is $100. In 2022 year, the total revenue for this Johnson and Johnson is like $120. Now, in real time, we have to create a pie chart based on these two values actually. What is the total, what is the type of scenario will means? For example, comparing to the 2021 year, how much sales, how much more sales we have in the 2022 year. For example, in the 2022 also, if I have same $100 sales only, right? Then these two are equal. Then what is the percentage means? Numerator divided by denominator. This will give you simply 100 percentage only. Okay. So in type of some scenarios where you have to compare the revenue from previous year to the current year, right? In those type of cases, we have to create a calculation field and we have to create a pie chart like this. So I can simply go to pie chart here. I can simply generate a calculation like hundreds divided by 120. Like that, you can create a separate measures with some calculations, and you bring those measures into a sheet here. Just apply the percentage option here. Like, but
Got it. Thank
but with only measures, we cannot create percentages. With at least one dimension and one measure, we can create percentages.
got it. Thank
Okay, now we will go to the basic dashboard design. Okay, I'll just start this basic dashboard design and we'll try to complete this in tomorrow. But I'll try to start it here today. So, okay, we have created so many sheets, right? We have sheet 19, sheet 20, 21, 22, 23. So we have created so many sheets. Okay, assume that I'm a developer and I'm telling the user that, hey user, I have created so many sheets here. Now the user is happy with all these sheets, and but he has one question for me. So what he's asking is, okay, you have created so many sheets, but if I have to navigate through, if I want to see all these sheets, right, I have to navigate through all the sheets one by one. He is telling, but his requirement he is telling is, okay Venkat, you have developed very good, but I want to see all these charts in a single place only. When I open this dashboard or workbook, right, I want to see all the charts in a single place only, so that I should not navigate to the each sheet separately. So his final requirement is he want to see all the charts in a single place only. At a time, you want to see all the charts. So for that, we have a concept called dashboards in Tableau. So for that, because of that reason, we'll create a dashboards in Tableau. What is the why do we create dashboards in Tableau? Means the simple answer is we will create sheets separately if the user is asking to the same reason. Sorry, I don't want to repeat again. We can bring all the sheets together in a dashboard. So simply click on this middle button. Now you see Tableau is generated a dashboard here. So in this dashboard, in the left side, I can see all the sheets. Okay, so I can bring the sheets one by one into my dashboard here in a single place. So I'm randomly telling here, you can simply bring all the sheets. Drag the sheet 29 here. Now you see, whenever I drag sheet 29 into the dashboard here, you see a blue tick mark I can see for this sheet 29. Whenever you see this blue tick mark means we already placed this sheet in the dashboard. Okay, in that way you can remember. If I clear this dashboard, right, using this option, you can clear this dashboard. Now you don't see any blue color tick mark for any sheet because we are not using any sheet in the dashboard. Okay, now we'll place one by one sheet in the dashboard. Like that, you see, we are placing all the sheets in a single place, which is called dashboard. So the user can simply come to this dashboard and you can simply see all the sheets in a single place. But this is not a best practice for creating the dashboards. Why? Because I randomly dragging my sheets into dashboard. Now I'll go to my sheet 28. Simply, if you want to do any formatting to the any sheet, right? Simply click on that sheet. You can see this sheet is highlighted here. You can see this cross mark. Go to sheet option. Go to sheet means you will be going to this sheet where you can do the modification. Okay. Now we'll discuss about this filter option bit later. Come to this drop down here. Now you see here, I want to change the width and height of this height of this sheet. But you see, if you go through all these options, right? Nowhere I see width and height option. Nowhere I see width and height option. So if you place randomly some sheets in the dashboard, you don't see, you cannot control the width and height options effectively. So if you want to see that width and height options here, right, we have to follow some best practices so that I can control better my width and height of a object. So when I say object here, right, whenever I say object may be a sheets, okay, object may be a horizontal container, vertical container, text object, extension, anything. When I say object, that may be anything, either sheets or any one of these. Okay. Now I cleared my dashboard here. The best practice for creating the dashboard is, first we have to enable the dashboard title. First enable the dashboard title. Where I can see this dashboard title? You see one show dashboard title here. Simply check this dashboard title check button. Okay. I'm just checking this dashboard title. Now you see dashboard title here. When you double click on this dashboard title, I can see sheet name here. Oh, here I can see dashboard 3, but here I can see sheet name. What is the meaning of it is, sheet name means whatever the dashboard name we have here, right? That is nothing but sheet name. The sheet name is nothing but dashboard 3. Now you see what I can do. I'll simply double right click on this dashboard 3, simply click on rename option. Now I'll change it to something like this. I'll simply type in some randomly. Just click on enter option. Now you see whatever I had typed here, I can see the same thing here also. So that is nothing but sheet name. Just double click here. The sheet name is nothing but whatever you give the name here, I can see the same name here also. I'm just going back one more here. Now, in addition to that, if you want to remove that sheet name, you can simply remove. One second. So I can simply remove this name, simply delete it, and whatever name you want, you can write that name here. That will be reflected here. Okay, that will be reflected here. Okay. Okay, for now, I'm just going back one more time. And in some cases, right, you can keep this sheet name as it is. And after that, whatever you want, you can write. You can go just simply click on the enter option here. You can simply write whatever you want in the next row also. You can format this dashboard also. You can change font here, font size, bold, italic, something that you can change anything in the title. Now we have dashboard title in the first row. This is row 1. In the row 1, I have dashboard title. Now I want to bring this pie chart just below the dashboard 3 title. See, if you drag simply sheet 28 again into the dashboard, when you go to this drop down, again you don't see any width and height option here. Okay, don't do that. So what I can do is bring the sheet 28 just below the sheet title, dashboard 3 title. Now you see I can see some hash color here. Along with that, I can see this blue color dotted lines. You see these blue color dotted lines. Whenever you see these blue color dotted lines, or whenever you see this hash color, right, then only we have to drop our sheets there. Then only drop our sheets there. Okay. Now drop our sheets there whenever you see those two options. Now you see when I click on the sheet drop down, now I can see edit height option. I can see edit height option. Simply click on the edit height option. Simply type 300 or 400. Give me a second. Okay. So, so just let me know if you are feeling heavy for today or like that. Just let me know if you are feeling heavy. You can stop the class and we can discuss tomorrow. That is not a problem. Just you can stop me anytime and you can just let me know. Okay. Now, if you see like that, right now I can see this edit height option here. But you see, I don't see width option here. Why? Because whenever I place my sheet in the second row, by default, that sheet will be occupied entire width also. Sheet will be occupied automatically entire width here. Second row will be fully occupied the sheet 28 by default. Because of that reason, I don't see edit width option here. I can see edit height only. Okay. Now what I can do, I can bring one more sheet 27 into the second. Now into the third row. Bring the sheet 27 into the third row. Just remember, whenever you see this hash color and this dotted lines, then only we have to drop our sheet there. Why? Because then only we can control the width or height of that particular sheet. Now just bring sheet 27 here. Now if you go to this drop down right, now I can see edit height or edit height option, but I don't see edit width option here. Why? Because by default, this sheet will occupy entire dashboard width here. We'll discuss. See, whenever you come to this size option, right? In the size option, I can see the size is width is 1000, height is 800. So it will occupy entire width of 1000 here. But on the right side, right, I can see some legends here. Just click on those legends, simply remove those. Now you see, these are occupying automatically entire width here. So because of some reason, if they are not occupying the entire width, right, in some cases, what you can do is select a particular sheet here. Now come to this drop down, you have standard option. Okay, like this standard option, fit height option. It will occupy only height only, not the width actually. We have fit width option. It will occupy only width on entire width only, not the entire height. So you can simply click on the entire view option. Entire view means it will occupy entire width and entire height. Entire width means 1000 width here. The dashboard width is 1000. So it will occupy entire width. Entire height means whatever the height we have given for this sheet, go to edit height option 400. So it will occupy entire 400 height. Okay. Now my one more requirement is we have other sheets also, right? We have sheet 25, sheet 24, sheet 23 also we have. Now my one more requirement is I want to keep sheet 28 and sheet 24 side by side. So sheet 28 and sheet 24 side by side. So whenever there is a requirement to display the sheets side by side, right? Then we have to go for this horizontal container. What is the meaning of horizontal container? Means the symbol itself is indicating that these symbols are side by side, right? So using the horizontal container, we can place our sheets side by side. Okay, we can place our sheets side by side in a container. Simple. If I get into a bus, right? In a seat, in a single seat, I can sit. Two persons can sit side by side, right? Like that type of thing. We can see seats in a bus side by side as well as horizontally and vertically also seats, right? That is the thing. So horizontal container means we can place our sheets side by side in this container. Now how to do this thing means simply drag the horizontal container but follow the same techniques. Whenever you see this thing and these dotted lines, right, then only we have to drop. Bring the horizontal container just below the sheet 3 title or between sheet 28 and 27. Anywhere you can drag. But you have to see these options, dotted lines and this hash. Then only we can control the width and height, right? Okay. Now you see the container width is occupying entire row width and height we can change. Edit height, I can change it to 300. Okay. Now you see whenever you place some container in a dashboard, right, that container will be highlighted with a blue color border like this, blue color border. Now what I will do is I'll simply click on my sheet 28, bring this sheet into this container. How to make sure that sheet 28 is placing in a container? Very simple. Whenever sheet is placing in a container, right, that container will be highlighted with this blue color border again. Okay, so containers will be highlighted automatically with a blue color border. Because of that reason, I'm confirming that sheet 28 is placing inside of this container. Because of this blue color border, I'm making sure that. Okay, now leave that there. Just simply select the sheet 28 like this. Sorry, click on the sheet 28 or something happened. Okay, click on the sheet 28. Whenever the sheet is highlighted with a hash color border like this, and bring your mouse into these lines. Bring your mouse on top of this sheet, on top of these lines. And whenever you see, okay, sorry. Okay. Now, whenever you see these arrows, right, then drag your sheet into this container. Now you see my sheet is placed inside the container. Okay. One more time, I want to confirm that my sheet is placed inside the container. How to confirm? Click on the sheet. Just go to this drop down. Now you see here, select container option, which is a horizontal container. That means the sheet is placed inside the horizontal container. Whenever you click on the select container, that container will be highlighted. Now I can simply drag my sheet 24 just right side of the sheet 28. Now how to make sure that my sheet 24 is placing in the container? Very simple thing. Now you can see this a shadow here. At the same time, as the sheet is placing inside the container, that container is highlighted with this blue color border again. Okay. In those two ways, we can make sure that our sheets are inside the container. Just bring it now. In this way, you can place the sheets side by side. So whenever you want, whenever there's a requirement to place sheets side by side, you can go for horizontal container. Whenever there is a requirement to place sheets vertically, you can go for vertical container. Okay, very good. Now, earlier, when you click on the sheet 28, now when you go to this drop down, right, now you can see edit width option here. Now, why I am seeing edit width option? You see, for sheet 27, I can see height option only here. I can see height option only. But for sheet 28, I can see edit width option. Why? Because as these sheets are inside the container, width and height will be managed by that container actually. But you see, as I have sheet 24 and 28 side by side, if I want to increase the width of this sheet 28, you can simply click on the edit width here. In that way, you can change the width of a sheet. Now you see, sheet 25 is occupying more width than sheet 24. You can click on the sheet 24 drop down. Now you see, we are not fixing the width of the sheet. So how to confirm that we are fixing the width of a sheet means you can go to sheet 28. Sorry, sheet 28. You see under fix width option, I can see this tick mark here. That means we are fixing the width of that sheet. Now, what about the height of this sheet 28? I can see width option here, but what is the height? What about height of this sheet? Very simple. We are placing this sheet inside the container, right? If you want to increase the height of this sheet, we have to select the container and we have to increase the height of this container. In that way, we can increase the height of that particular sheet. Okay. Hope you understood. So I'm just going to edit height option. I'm just going to 400 here. So the height of the sheets are whatever the sheets we have inside that container, those sheets height will be managed by this container. But width we can manage. Why? Because as I have more sheets inside the container, there is a requirement I have to increase and decrease the width of those of sheets. Because of that reason, I can change the width. width of those sheets separately. Like you can go to this drop down and you can change the width here. If you want to change, if you want to write exact width, right, you can go to this option. The other option also, you can simply come to this border and you can vary the width also like this. Okay. Now one more requirement we will come in real time. That is, I want to occupy sheet 28 and sheet 24 should occupy same width. Okay. As I have only two sheets here, I want to occupy sheet 24 with 50% of width. Sheet 28 also 50% of width. So what are the width I have here? That should be equally distributed to sheet 28 and 24. So we can't do that manually actually. So what I can do, I can go to this sheet drop down, select container here. For this container drop down, I can see distribute contents evenly option. Whenever you click on this distribute contents evenly option, sheet 28 and 24 will be occupied equal width. For example, if you bring one more sheet also into this container, right? These three sheets will be occupying equal width. If you bring one more sheet, all the sheets will be occupied equal width actually. Because for this container, we have selected distribute contents evenly option. Okay. So for sheet 23, I have space below and right side also. I can select sheet 23. Instead of standard, I can select entire view. Or I can go for fit width also. Like that. Okay. Now you see, for this container, you have selected distribute contents evenly option so that all sheets are occupying the equal width here. Because of that reason, when you go to individual sheet drop down here, now I don't see that width option here. Why? Because the width is automatically distributed evenly for all the objects. Because of that reason, I don't see that width option here. If you want to get that width option again, I can select the container and I can uncheck this distribute contents evenly option. In that way, now we can see this width option for each sheet separately. Okay. Okay. Hope you understood till this point. So I want to discuss. So I want to show one more option here that is called tiled and floating. So while placing any sheet, I'll just tell you 2 minutes only, then I will close this class. So what is the meaning of tiled and what is the meaning of floating? Tiled means this sheet will occupy a specific space only in the dashboard. If I try to bring one more sheet and if I want to place that sheet on top of this sheet 28, right, it will not allow. Tiled will not allow you place one sheet over the other sheet. Okay. The best practice to design the dashboard in the real time is always go for tiled option only. Now, when we have to go for floating option here, floating option means, okay, I want to place my sheet 28 on top of sheet 20. Sorry, I want to place sheet 22 on top of sheet 28. In that case only, we have to go for floating option. Simply click on the floating option. Now drag the sheet 22. Now you see, in the floating mode, I can place my sheet anywhere in the dashboard like this. Okay. Now you see, I can bring my sheet 22 anywhere I want on top of the other sheets also. So in real time, sometimes we will be having this type of requirement. For these requirements only, we can go for floating option. We don't go for, in general, don't go for floating option by default. By default, go for tiled option only. Okay. If you want to convert this sheet 22 again into the floating mode, right? Into the tiled mode, right? Then simply click on this drop down. Simply uncheck the floating option. Now by default, it will be placed somewhere in the dashboard like this. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Or it is already more than 1 hour. So I want to, so in real time, client will not say, you create a dashboard. He will not say, create a dashboard. What he will simply do is, he'll simply take a paint here and just telling you, you can simply share the requirements in a paint or sometimes in PDFs or sometimes in the PPTs. So what he will do is he will simply he will take one section here and he will simply write here a bar chart. This should be a bar chart. He will tell you like this. It should be bar chart. And next to this, he will say, I want to see a line chart. Like so he will not tell you we have to create a dashboard or we have to create a workbooks. He don't tell you. Why? Because you see nowadays Power BI and Tableau are most used tools nowadays. Trending tools are these two when come to reporting side. Before these two tools, we have few more tools also. ClickSense, ClickView, MicroStrategy, something we have more tools also. From tool to tool, the naming convention will be different. So if you say, for example, if you go to the client and if you say workbook, right, he don't understand what is the meaning of workbook. He can understand only name either report or dashboard. He can understand these two only. He can understand either dashboard or he can understand only reports only he can understand. Why? Because since long time, the client is working with different tools, Excel, MicroStrategy, ClickSense, ClickView, like that. He will be working with so many tools since long time. So the most useful, the most understandable word to the client is dashboards or reports. But based on the tool, each tool is having their own naming convention. When you come to the Tableau, they will say sheets, dashboards, and then they will say workbooks. But if you go to the Power BI, right, they will say pages. So like that, this naming convention will be different for each tools. But finally, the client will understand dashboards only. So because of that reason, if you get any requirement from the client, he will simply say, hey, you can create this report or you can create simply this dashboard. So he will share a screenshot like this. In this screenshot, he will mention what are the charts he want. He want bar chart and he want line chart. And he will mention one more thing also. He will mention what is the dimension name also. He will simply mention region and sales. He want to create a bar. We want to create a bar chart with region and sales region and sales fields. And he will simply mention, I want to create a line chart with the order date and profit and sales. He will simply mention like this. Okay. So, so he'll simply give you one screenshot or one PDF he will give you. He will simply ask you create a dashboard like this. So based on this, we have to understand, okay, this is a dashboard. Okay. So in a simple manner, right? 100% we will create dashboards in real time. First, we will create sheets. He will assume that the client will tell you or not tell you. We by default we will create dashboards from the sheets what we create by default. We have to create dashboard. For example, there is a requirement from the client want to create only one bar chart only. Okay, assume that he's asking you to create only bar chart only. Now what we will do is we'll come to Tableau here. Okay, I'll simply create a bar chart here first. Okay. Now by default, I'll create a dashboard with only single sheet only. I'll simply click on the dashboard here. I'll simply place my bar chart in this dashboard and I will share this dashboard to the user. User doesn't, user, he don't bother about what is the tool he is using and what are the techniques you are following. He simply want, uh, he simply want to see the charts only. Okay. So he will share you the PDF or PPT or something like to you. What are the sheets, what are the graphs you want to create? Based on that, you will simply create. Uh, sh- See, if you share this dashboard to the user, right? He don't understand. You have created a sheet or you have created a dashboard. He don't understand. Why? Because when you publish this dashboard to the server, he can see this thing only here. He don't see any other options You don't see any left side. You don't see anything. He will simply see this screen only in the servers. So he don't understand what is the meaning of sheet, what is the meaning of dashboard, what is the meaning of workbook. He don't know anything actually. He will simply give you a requirement. You can create either sheet or you can create dashboard also. But by default, in real time, we will create dashboards only. Even with single sheet also, we can create dashboards in real time. Why? Because we have to give some sheet titles and all those here, right? Because of that reason, we'll create by default uh, dashboards. Okay. Any other questions? You understood Pranit or Vasishtha or any other questions?